Realms Deep 2023 has been and gone. The full show is on YouTube, but it goes for about 4 hours, so I'm going to condense it, and I'm going to run through the most prominent game announcements and updates. So I'm going to be taking us through 12 different games. There were other announcements at the event, so if you're really interested, you may want to skim through the live stream, but I think I've covered all of the major ones. So firstly, we've got Fury Aftershock, the expansion to the original Iron Fury, which came out ages ago. I look this up every 6 months. It feels like this expansion's been in development forever. I started to worry about it. Anytime I go on Steam, I've got it there on the wish list. There was still no release date. So I've got 2 pieces of good news. It's absolutely coming out, and it's actually releasing within the next 48 hours, depending on when you watch this. It's October 2nd, and the trailer looks really good. I imagine it's going to live up to the original, given how long they've been working on it. My only surprise, really, is that it's not a standalone release, because I imagine with the work that's gone into it, that it's not just going to be a couple of hours. It's probably going to almost be a fully fledged game. So it looks exciting. I'm looking forward to picking it up. Next is Graven. This was announced years ago, but they have finally announced that this title is leaving early access in January, so it's getting that full release. I've got to be honest, my hype for this game has decreased over time, because when they first showed the game to us, it looked really nice. It had that old school feel, a bit of a Hexen kind of vibe, but over time, they seem to have modernized the graphics a little bit, and if they were genuinely nicely styled, that would be fine, but it looks a bit generic. It kind of looks like an Unreal asset flip or something. The areas look quite empty, and I kind of think that the overall game perhaps has suffered trying to chase that new audience by modernizing those graphics. It has mixed reviews currently on Steam. You've got to sort of read through them, because sometimes it's because the game is in early access and just isn't working too well, which is fair enough, but the quality has been questioned by people. The light at the end of the tunnel is that some have suggested that Graven will have a lot of new content when it gets that full release. They haven't been adding in a lot into early access lately, because they've been trying to get it ready, ensure it's a complete game, so maybe it will be good. I'll keep an eye on it come January. Twisted Tower is next. This one did stand out, certainly in the visual department. It's quite distinct. That being said, it is very similar to something like a BioShock. People were throwing around Willy Wonka as something it looked familiar to in terms of style. I think it's pretty smart from the devs, because since BioShock, there's been a lot of people who've wanted a similar game, and the company behind BioShock just haven't really delivered. There have been similar titles like Prey, but Prey may have fell short because it wasn't so distinct visually, whereas BioShock, when you see it, you know it's BioShock. I don't think this game's actually an immersive sim, though. I do think it's a genuine FPS on the Steam page, and it is coming to early access pretty soon. But on Steam, it does sort of just talk about those general FPS things, which is totally fine. I'm here for the first-person shooters. I think it's just worth mentioning, given there have been some BioShock comparisons. I do want to say, with early access, what I'm hearing from people is that the 3D Realms games that get put on early access aren't always a great deal. They're often super unfinished, and I have to wonder if often they put them out there and then the hype is kind of gone by the time it comes about for a full release. So I imagine it's a balance between getting sales now, getting revenue coming in, and sort of keeping people excited. But they need to find that balance, because if you're paying for an early access title, it's got to at least be worth some of the money that you're paying for. Now, Kingpin Reloaded, which is a remaster of Kingpin Life of Crime. It came out around 25 years ago. I really like this game. I actually only played it for the first time about 18 months ago, so I don't have rose-tinted glasses. I went into it, no real expectations. I thought it was really good. It's got wonderful levels, the gunplay's pretty nice, and it's got a pretty cool story throughout, so I'll keep an eye on it. I probably won't pick it up for a while because I just played it, but if you haven't played it, I'd absolutely recommend it. The next one was probably my highlight of the show. It's Phantom Fury, which was announced last year. It's by the Iron Fury devs, and it's actually a spin-off. It stars the same main character, but it seems to be a different style of game. It's not quite that boomer shooter Duke Nukem-esque experience. It looks to be a little bit slower paced. They even threw around Half-Life in the live stream that they did, so maybe it's a little bit similar to Half-Life. They mentioned that it's one continuous journey. It's not sort of individual levels, they sort of connect together. So I imagine you do sort of get an end screen, a level end screen, but you pick things up straight where you left off. So the actual gameplay, it looks solid. Interestingly, the graphics look a bit more modernized, but I think they've done a better job of it than something like Graven. It doesn't look so generic. Probably the best bit of news is that it's actually had a free demo released, and you can download that right now on Steam. I'm putting this up on the screen because when I went on the Steam page, I found it a little bit difficult to locate the download demo button, and I thought I might have mixed something up, that it was maybe not available to the general public. So maybe I'm just an idiot, but if you're having trouble locating it, it's there on the screen now. Next up is Wrath Aeon of Ruin. If you're into these boomer shooter style games, you would have had to have been living under a rock to not have heard of this title, because it has been around forever. I think it's been on Steam since something like 2019, 4 years. I think this is an example of where releasing an early access title can go a little bit wrong when it's sitting there for such a long period of time. Anyone who's really interested is probably going to buy it, or they've decided they're not going to buy it until a full release. And both groups start to lose hype and start to get a little frustrated. So it is coming in February, but I think they will have to knock it out of the park. It's probably going to have a lot of new content to keep people engaged and not get a bit of a mixed reception. Ripout is next. It's an FPS that looks like it's focused on aliens for enemies. It's coming to early access in October, but they didn't actually show any gameplay, so maybe just keep an eye on it, be a little bit skeptical before you part with your money, because we don't really know how rough it's going to be, at least at the start. I was interested, but then I saw it's mainly procedural generated levels, and I'm not a massive fan of that. I can't think of too many examples where FPS randomly generated levels are great, but if you're into that sort of thing, perhaps check it out. Next was a trailer for a game that's already on Steam, so you can already buy this and play this. It's CULTIC Interlude. I'm really surprised that I haven't checked this out already, because one of the top reviews on Steam, it says it's a mix of Blood from 1997, Silent Hill and Resident Evil, and a bit of Fear in there from 2005 as well. So all of those games I really, really enjoy, so I probably will check this out. And they have released a new story map, so probably worth checking out if it sounds like your sort of thing. This one is Prodeus the Elder Veil. Prodeus is an existing game. It released on Steam in September 2022. It's been on my wishlist for a while, but it just didn't look very unique. It looked a bit like a Dead Space Doom sort of FPS mashup, and I wasn't too excited. But the trailer for this new DLC, The Elder Veil, which they unveiled, it actually looks really, really nice. It's got this Valhalla sort of art style. It's incredibly unique in the FPS genre, which is a far cry from the original. I'm surprised, again, like Aftershock, the first title we spoke about, I'm surprised this isn't a standalone release, because I imagine there'll be lots of people intrigued by this art style, this new direction, and that includes the gameplay. There's some new gameplay in this trailer which looks a bit different than what I saw in the original Prodeus release. So I'll be checking this out. There's no release date or anything, it just says coming soon, but looking good. Core Decay is up next. When I first saw it, I wasn't super excited, but then I looked into it a bit more, and it seems to be more than just an FPS. It may actually be a Deus Ex-like experience, and I think I actually heard or saw something about this game years ago. It's being developed by someone named Ivor Hill, which was familiar to me. So I will be checking this out, because if it's anything Deus Ex related, if it's more of an action sort of role-playing immersive sim experience, I'm definitely there. There's nothing in the trailer or on Steam about a release date. The only thing I'll say is it seems like it's a solo dev project, and often they can be a little bit shaky. I hope this person sees it through, because everything I hear about it sounds really good. So I hope you can just get that message out there that it's a Deus Ex-like experience, and it's not just another 3D Realms FPS. So I'll keep an eye on it. We're coming towards the end, which is why I'm going to show you Duke Nukem Big Shot Pinball. I don't want to just hate on this game immediately, because I know, looking at the YouTube channel for this title, that there's a big audience for pinball-style games like this. So maybe for those people, it's really good. For me, I think I heard somewhere that there was going to be Duke Nukem at this event, and if they were being serious about that and not joking, I think that's a little bit shoddy. If they actually have the rights to make new games out of this IP, they should be doing it. I don't understand why they're not doing it and they're just doing these spin-offs, because I think they're just asking for negative comments here, which probably isn't fair on the developer of this. I mean, they're just developing their bread and butter. This seems to be what they do, but Duke Nukem should be getting proper FPS titles as well. The very last one isn't actually an FPS. It's a game called Combustion, which is an action title. It's meant to be inspired by that sort of PS1 era of action title. I'm not really sure exactly what genre it is. There was a little bit of platforming in there. There was some dialogue. Maybe there's some sort of stealth RPG sort of stuff going on as well. But it's got a pretty unique sort of art style, and I'm not just talking about the sort of low polygon graphics. It has that cyberpunky kind of feel to it. So it could be something interesting for something different. That is about it for the event. Again, there was other stuff on show, so perhaps if you look through the full event, the one on YouTube, you might see more that you like. There's some other trailers on 3D Realms' YouTube page as well. But thanks very much for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.